Welcome back, everybody. It's Rodrigo Fondor with Asheville Real Estate News, and today we are talking about the journey of real estate and what it looks like to start something that you've never done before, and how to take it from a new beginning, basically, to a very sustainable business model, and bringing on somebody who first burst into the Asheville scene. I was like, who is this guy? And quasi competition. Now we've developed a good friendship, and it's been fun that the competition has evolved into not competing against each other, but just trying to each of us improve our own game and be better. And so it's been a fun journey. You're going to talk about that, and hopefully you all get some tips and nuggets about what it looks like to venture into this and go full time and that whole process. So without further ado, help me welcome Mr. Patrick Thomas.
Pleasure to be here. I appreciate it. Doing good. Glad I could be here today.
Yeah, it's fun to sit and kind of go full circle, like I said.
Yeah.
It's like, how long have you been here in the Asheville market?
So I've been in the market probably 2.5 years or so, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, about 2.5 years.
Yeah, you came out of nowhere and made some magic happen.
Well, I don't know about that. We've been trying to follow your footsteps. So we heard about Rod, so we've been trying to keep up with you, but yeah.
Well, maybe at the beginning, I always feel like I'm keeping up with you. I know you all you're doing some really cool stuff as far as just consistency and keep pushing the envelope. And I know there's been things like direct mail, for instance, that I've started doing, and conversations with you have been part of that. So.
Yeah, direct mail's been a big piece of what I do. So,
well, let's start at the beginning. Do you live in Asheville? What do you do?
I live in
life story?
Salisbury, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to kind of talk about where I came from? I guess?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
So I grew up in Utah originally, and then I moved out here and started chasing hurricanes and doing restoration, fire and water damage kind of stuff. And then always kind of had I guess an entrepreneurial, is that the right word? Bug in me.
Yeah.
And so I worked for some big companies and was a sales manager for a while, and decided to do my own thing. So started my own company. We had 35 employees about. I had a couple investors. Me and the investors didn't see eye to eye. We kind of got into it, and I got voted out of my own company, like a Steve Jobs, right?
The pain.
Yeah, it was a little rough. And so that was an interesting day. But I'm actually really grateful that it happened. So I was probably 30 minutes removed from the company, and I just felt like it was the right thing, like it was a good thing. So
well, it's good to feel at peace about that, even if it was involuntary exit.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I knew that there was a risk by bringing another guy in, but I also felt like it was something we needed, and so I allowed my shares to kind of dilute to a certain point, and they got smart and voted me out, I guess. So, but I had to non-compete, so I didn't go right back into it, and looked at opening an insurance agency. Just that was going to take way too long. To get back to where I was financially, and so I had a buddy that was in real estate. Kind of looked up online what's the quickest way to $1 million kind of thing, and so I saw real estate. So I kind of was interested and got into it with a friend of mine, and kind of evolved to Asheville. And we're no longer partners. We're still best of friends. He's honestly like part of our family.
Right.
So he's doing some other stuff in real estate, and I'm doing mainly the wholesaling.
Yeah. And so what is, well, you mentioned a word there, wholesaling, right? So for somebody who's not familiar with that, what's the quick and dirty definition?
So wholesaling, pretty much what I'm doing is, I'm finding motivated sellers through various marketing channels, and I'll pretty much put it under contract for what they're looking for.
Right.
And then I find a cash buyer, maybe somebody that wants to flip it or hang on to it, develop a piece of property, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll sell them the property. So kind of I take the spread between, and that's kind of what I do. So.
Yeah, no doubt. That's how I got started. It's still a large part of what I do, as you know. So it's a good model, right?
Yeah, that's been great.
It has some ups and downs, doesn't it?
It does. You'll have. I was just telling you about one I put under contract. Buyer put it under contract and had it sold. Had a nice deal on it. And
excited?
Yeah, I was really excited, and he backed out on me in 2 hours. So that happens, but you weed those people out and you find the legit people that are going to keep their word, I guess. So.
And it is, a lot of that is, so much is signed on paper and whatnot, but you learn quickly. It really doesn't matter what any contract reads so much as who's signing the paper and their, their belief in their ability to come through and, honor their terms. So you've been doing this, what, you said 2.5 years now, right?
About 2.5 years. When we started doing it, we were mainly doing short sales.
Okay.
And then we kind of figured out what we were doing was illegal in this state, so we kind of stopped and pivoted and learned about wholesaling from a group in San Diego, and then we're like, hey, this is what we need to be doing. So,
what was the hardest thing about getting started? In a, mental or actual practical? So
like mental, I've always kind of, I haven't had a problem with risk, so it wasn't a big deal as far as that goes, but just learning how, I had no real estate experience whatsoever other than buying my own house. And so learning values, learning what to look for, things that are going to bring your values down, really, that was kind of it. And then like figuring out who's legit cash buyers and who isn't, you know, so those have been kind of the pitfalls. And I started doing some more flips last year. We actually flipped, I think, like 6, and just realized, I'm more like marketing's kind of my thing. And so, I felt like, let's stay away from that if we can and just wholesale and just continue to market and prospect every day,
Focus on your bread and butter.
Yeah. So
what has been let's start with like your low point inside of, since you got wholesaling?
In wholesaling?
Yeah.
Let's see. So the low point was kind of, honestly, that's when I started doing some of these flips.
Right.
It was like I got into the flips and I partnered with too many people. My main partner, who we talked about earlier, no problem, everything's fine with him. But I had a couple other partners that were doing the construction, and it just was it just didn't work out. I'm not placing any blame on them or anything like that, but
it wasn't good enough to repeat.
It was like I'd rather just kind of do it on my own.
Right.
And so we kind of. That was my low point. Like I find out that there's been a contractor that we had working for us that hadn't been paid, and it was like $9,000 for like something that should have been like $1,300, And so when I remember that day I was getting calls on that. I was getting calls on my own flip. Had another deal that was like a $25,000 assignment fee that was kind of falling apart all in one day, and I was just like, man, I was like, is this the right thing to be doing? Like, should I be doing this? I had offers to be sales manager or start another restoration company, and I just said, no, I'm gonna stick it out. This is
Double
it.
Down.
Let's just do it. And since that day, it's been great. So,
have you had a high point where you're just like it validates everything else that you've been doing?
So you probably know a lot of this too. Is like. Every day can be like that, like you can go like up and down.
Definitely.
And, but no, I mean, since that day, like I just made a decision, like, cause I got 3 kids and I was talking to my wife about it and I said, like I want my kids to feel like they could do anything they want to do, accomplish anything. And so I had the decision then where I was like, do I really want to do this? Like, and deal with all the just kind of crap that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Where I'm trapped, cause I don't live here, so I'm on the road a lot. And so I was like, is it worth it, or should I just go back and do what I've done for 10 years, which is restoration? And I just decided, I want to show them that I can build and that they can build whatever they want to build.
Right.
And so I just kind of doubled down. And since then, dude, the whole thing's that, not saying that every day's perfect, you got issues, but I mean, I feel pretty good. I feel really good about where I'm headed and what I'm doing in the business. I feel like I add some value to my buyers and to the sellers, and so I feel good about it. I'd say every day is a high.
Yeah, it's always special when you get to wake up and you got like that each day in front of you. No matter how sometimes scary those days can look at the beginning, right? So you've been doing this 2.5 years. You got established. You made the commitment. You doubled down on it. And since that day or that conversation you had with your wife, did anything change? Did you do anything differently? Or how have you gone from there, from it being like, maybe I shouldn't, to now being like, no, man, 100% belief that this was the right decision?
Yeah. My partner and I split up. That was all good. Everything's fine on that. But, since then I've started marketing a couple different ways.
Yeah.
I do a lot of cold calling, and mailers, and so that's been kind of the thing that's I felt kind of driven me to the next point where I was doing maybe 2.5 deals, 3 deals a month to now, it's more like 5 or 6 deals a month between the 2 locations I got. And so, that's kind of taken me where I see a bigger vision of growing that in several locations. And, buying my kind of long term is to buy multifamily units and apartment complexes. And so, I see that kind of materializing and heading in that direction. So I feel real good about, I guess, the direction I'm heading.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great that you brought up the multifamily, because one of the questions I wanted to ask you is like, how has your overall like long-term vision or your approach to things shifted, from when you first started to where you are now?
Yeah. So when I started back a long time ago, when I started my restoration company, the thought was, let's build it up and sell it, and get out and then
golden parachute kind of thing, right?
Kind of thing, right? And so I had the same idea when I got into this, but that's not really my plan or what I want to do now. I want to have, several locations that I'm selling 3 or 4 deals a month in wholesaling, but I'd like to have, close to 500 units, apartment complex. And I feel like if I can do that and continue to build off that a little bit too, but then I have a legacy or something I can pass down to my children where I go out and you know how it is being an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting, there's days where it's like, dude, this can be tough. This is pretty hard. And just, I don't want, I'm kind of building it so that my kids, they don't have to necessarily go through that. I want them to go out and explore and be adventurous and figure out what they want to do as their passion in the world. But I want them to always kind of have, like you said, a golden parachute to kind of fall back on where I know they're going to be okay.
Yeah, so they can go out there without worrying about things pan out or not.
Yeah.
How have you found to, you're working different, multiple markets, obviously, you said you travel a lot. How do you manage the, the balance between having good family time, showing up for your wife, your kids, et cetera, and then, making everything else hum on the business side of things?
So my former life, with fire and water damage, that's 24/7.
Right.
Every day, never stops. I got to answer the phone no matter what. And I had a bunch of employees, so they took a lot of that off. But still, the main accounts, big accounts that I had, I was going to answer the phone whether they called me at 2 a.m. or at 1 p.m.
Right.
I was right there. My wife was used to it. Didn't matter what was going on. If they called, I was stepping in.
It was just part of it, yeah.
And now it's a whole lot different. I can get home and my office is at my house, so that can, that poses a little bit of a,
be good or bad.
Yeah, it can be bad sometimes. I got a beautiful little girl that always wants to be with me,
right.
and so but I'd say it's enhanced. Real estate has enhanced my ability to be with my kids, be with my family. Like I went to a workshop over the weekend. I brought my kids with me, my wife. They explored Atlanta while I learned what I needed to learn, and so it's enhanced my ability to be with my family, and I feel like drawing us closer. That's not always the case. You can do that in anything you're doing. You can be obsessed to the point where you forget all else, but that's just not who I am. I want to have a successful business and grow and hit my goals, but my why is them. So
can't trample on your why to,
exactly.
To get to just the numbers, right?
The most important thing is to be with them and be a big part of their life. So
no, absolutely. If somebody's tuning in and watching this and they're thinking about getting started, I know we've talked a couple of times where Asheville's a little bit of a different market than other markets around that you hear people doing things in. What 2 cents of wisdom? What would be the way to get started?
To get started?
Yeah.
Talk to Rod. One, this guy hook you up.
I think I passed on more people to you as well.
Yeah, no doubt. But definitely go in and be educated. Don't go in and that doesn't mean go spend $10,000 on an education or something.
Don't make my mistake.
but go in.
Bad,
there's plenty of stuff online you can learn, but go out and do it. Just like. It's something that you could go out and literally knock doors or make phone calls or Facebook post or whatever and start to get some traction. And
Yeah.
just go out and give it your best effort and time, and eventually you're going to pull through and start getting a couple of deals. And that's the thing about this business is you could get a deal, you might only make a couple grand. There's deals where you make 30 grand.
Yeah.
So if you luck up and on your first couple deals, you're pulling 12 to 15 grand out on both of those deals.
Yeah, it can be a big difference.
It can be a big difference. A lot of people that get into it only make $30,000 a year. So they pull 15 grand on one deal.
It's half your salary.
They're loving it.
No doubt.
So I'd say just get out there and do it.
No doubt. Awesome, man. Well, super great having you on and just chatting and whatnot. Hopefully, maybe a couple years once you got 500 apartment doors.
We hope so.
We can talk about what that evolution of the journey was and everything. Any parting words, final thoughts, real estate, life?
Lucky to be. I'm lucky to be here in Asheville and to know people like Rod and all the other people I deal with here in this community. It's a good community.
Great community here.
I'm just a lucky guy. I feel very blessed every day. So
cool.
That's it. Go be the person you want to be.
Awesome, man. Well, appreciate it so much for jumping on, and like I said, we'll definitely have you on a couple months or something, and just keep talking about that journey because it's always changing.
Definitely, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, guys, there you have it. The journey, the evolution, the ongoing process of always trying to figure out what that next step is. If you liked it, if it was valuable, please share it with somebody, tag somebody. It'd mean a lot to us if you could leave us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, first Wednesday of every month, we have our meetup at Archetype Brewing, so hope to see you there. Take care.